What's the Wim Hof breathing method?
Is about creating a deficit of oxygen while the body is alkaline. And this is a biohack that makes us able to activate 100% of our brain.
Is that something we could do together right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think of one thing. That is, I give it my best. Put it. Let it go. All it. Let it go. Stop and push up. No breathing. Go. 2, 3, 15, 2, 52.
Wow. Wim Hof is unlike anyone you've ever met.
I am the Iceman.
He's a man who's cracked the code on human performance and is now showing the world how to do it too. He's set 26 world records.
This guy runs to the top of Everest in his underwear.
And ran a marathon in the Arctic, barefoot. What is the impact of cold therapy for people?
A cardiovascular training through hormesis. A hormesis is self-inflicted acute stressful exercise. Going into icy water drains the cardiovascular system to be much more efficient, much more better in transportation of blood and lymph. Energy runs a lot better, and there is so much more. And for people who are into, say, depressions and or cloudy and confused, it directly straightens one up because
The Icon's a show where we learn life lessons from those who may shape the icon in each of us. And today we get to push the boundaries of human limits.
we actually are built to being able to do so much more than we think.
Understand
Cardiovascular problems in the world is killer number one.
and performance.
They ask me, can you do this? Can you do that? I could do it all. The bottom line is, every seeker becomes a finder.
Wim Hof, welcome to the show. Thanks for watching this interview on the Icons. One of the things that caught my attention is that 97% of people who are watching our videos aren't subscribed. So if that's you, I'd encourage you to just click that button. When I actually found that out and said that in the office today, someone in our office gasped, like a real gasp. And so if you're interested in learning from the true icons, people who've had success over time, and trying to figure out how to apply that to your own life and doing it in a way that's a little bit motivational, that's why you'd want to keep watching this show. Again, thanks for watching. Wim Hof. For those of you who are new to your extraordinary work, how do you describe what you do?
Every seeker becomes a finder. I was seeking, why am I here? What am I doing? And not according to school and career, but to myself. A deep understanding of myself has been the driver, making me able to go into that search and find, discover the excitement of life as my companion. And every time I took that companion with me, I came to surprising discoveries of what I am, who I am, and what I can do.
I find that fascinating to hear how you describe that, because most people know your story through the amazing feats that you do. But as I did more research, it sounds like where this started was a real exploration of life. And it just brought you to cold therapy. It brought you to breathing. It brought you to this commitment and mindset stuff. And it feels like my understanding is that those are the three pillars you really focus on: cold therapy, breathing, and commitment. Why are those the three pillars?
I became a seeker who becomes a finder. If you try to seek something, then that is besides of what is written, what is known. You get into the drive, and my drive came from my birth, and my birth was my mother invocating, oh God, make this child alive, let him be born alive. I will make him a missionary. And there was the cold. In the cold of the hole, almost suffocated, I was born. That got tattooed on my soul, on my DNA. And later in life, I get this hunch. I want to seek and find what is in the depth of myself. And then I found the cold, finally. At 17, age 17, I went in, and everybody was saying the cold is dangerous, it's lethal, you should not go into it, it's crazy to do it, and all. That was the concept. But I went in, and I did not feel any danger. I did not feel any craziness. I felt so much more grounded while being in that icy cold water, that there I had found, this is it. This is it, without words. So that feeling I was looking for. And then a time after, I found by regularly coming back to the cold water that if I did slow breathing, deep breathing, slow, deep breathing, not hyperventilation, slow, deep breathing, I could stay longer in the water. That means your body must get stronger through deeper breathing, being able to go in freezing water longer. So I began to investigate and do more research naturally, physically, with myself, experimenting with my body and with my mind and with the breath. And soon after, I started to do the breathing, this deep breathing, also at home, a part of the cold. Because by then, I already knew it makes me stronger. So let it be now without cold water. And then I saw all the nervous system, all the lights, all the chakras, all the esoteric disciplined results I had read in the books, but never experienced. And from there, my mindset was every seeker becomes a finder. I had found something so profound, I stuck to it. And when you stick to it and you get into those disciplines, you automatically get a mindset. And that mindset becomes really strong, being able to go voluntarily into the depth of the body through using only the mind. Because constantly I was mirroring myself in harsh nature. And I could do many, many challenges. Stay all night outside in the shorts in wintertime, in freezing temperatures, or climb a mountain barefoot. 25 years later, when I came across the television, they asked me, can you do this? Can you do that? I could do it all. 26 world records and many more challenges. The thing is, the bottom line is, every seeker becomes a finder. And it's not necessarily about the cold or the deep breathing. Yet, I think deep breathing, everybody is breathing. So everybody is able to access into their deep physiology and have a much better hold over their physiology and emotion. So I found that besides of the performance abilities, which grew and grew and grew, and I was doing world records one after the other. And then science came in, and then they confronted me with problems they have or physiological statements of what humans are capable of. And I was just breaking them all. So that is where the mindset, being motivational, being motion, keep the mind on moving, keep the mind on finding, because the seeker becomes the finder. And it's incredible what you can find within yourself. It's amazing. It's much more than we think.
It is amazing.
There we are.
And I find, I mean, it was interesting, asking that question of like, how did you find these three pillars of your work? And there's so many pieces of this I want to go into. You went right back to the start. I mean, you went back to being born and the trauma that came out. And my understanding is that you were born as a twin, but they didn't know that you were in your mom. So first baby came out. And so from that moment, and then this drive to be a seeker that then becomes a finder. And it feels like science is now catching up to all the things that you've discovered within yourself. And it's led to these amazing feats. I mean, I'll just read out a couple. You climb Mount Kilimanjaro in shorts, running a half marathon in the Arctic Circle while barefoot, standing in a container covered in ice cubes for 112 minutes. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I was wondering how much of those feats is you just being an incredible athlete versus you being a master of these techniques?
Oh, yeah. No, it's not neither one nor the other. I'm not an athlete. I'm not a incredible master of anything. But I'm a seeker, and a seeker finds. And what I want to find is my soul. what I want to find is my purpose. And I use any element of nature to mirror myself, to sharpen my mind, to get access to my own ability to express my soul and to have a hold over my emotions and go for the best.
Wow. I mean, I think a lot of people just heard that. I just heard that too. I mean, my assumption coming into that question of one or the other, and you saying, really, this has just been a natural experience of really trying to figure out, how do I live my life? How do I find my purpose? How do I and using nature or experience or whatever you can run into to be your experiments. Is that a fair way to see it?
Yes, absolutely. And anybody has the same ability. So make your life incredibly exciting, because exciting it is once you become a seeker. Seeking, it's the journey wherein I uncovered and unfolded so many so-called paradigms not to be true, that we are able to do so much more, that we are actually withheld from our own soul to serve a system that is not necessarily serving us. So recently we did a study with 500 people, and it's submitted to Nature, the scientific magazine. And it is now, it's almost going to be published. And we showed with this method being able, compared to mindfulness and meditation, to battle stress a whole lot better, a lot more stress resilience, a lot less stress experience, and a much higher cognitive awareness compared to meditation and mindfulness. And that is something they use in the corporate world to battle stress. So if the productivity goes better because of a higher stress resilience and a higher cognitive awareness compared to the stress tools we got now, which is mindfulness and meditation, then this is the way I get into the world, or the corporate world, even the materialistic world. But you know what, Tyler? What we bring is happiness. Happiness, strength, and health. You get into yourself. You get into something that is more worth than any money is able to give. So, besides of the productivity becoming better, the effectivity becoming better, the awareness and cognitive awareness becoming better, you get a hold of who you are and what you are. And that is, you can't pay that. You can't buy it. It is the most wealthiest thing you can ever possess within yourself. And so we bring people back to their core, which is, it's the diamond, it's the gold. It's more than anything. Once you touch that, then you start to understand what unconditional love and power really means. That actually, if we cool down a little, then suddenly we are able to experience the grace of life itself. And it's all the time there. Only we are too much over there. And so we bring this down in control to the depth, to the present moment.
So imagine I'm somebody who's wanting to get back to my core, and I'm a seeker, and I've discovered you, and I'm starting to learn about this stuff that sounds extraordinary. Where would you have me start? Imagine I'm a new seeker, a new learner. What's the first thing we do together?
Oh, that's very simple. First we talk and we say, hey, you really want to go to the depth of yourself? Is that so? Are you really there?
It is.
Because then you have a mindset, that is able to let go. If you hold on, then how can you find something else? So first we have an open conversation, and that only takes 5 minutes. And then I say, okay, you know what? Let's go past the conditioned mind and body. which is very much related and tied to a conditioned pattern of breathing. So we go into deeper breathing and learn to manipulate the pH levels, the biochemistry in the body, further than the biochemistry of a conditioned body and mind is, by which you open up and get sensations coming from the depth of yourself to the surface, and then you decide if you want to go on yes or no. Most of the people, or actually all the people I met, they all, after that, keep on going. They implement it in their lives, and that's it. So I do not convince people through speech. I convince people by them doing it themselves. And that is the best motivation they can find within.
So it sounds like, I mean, 5 minutes to get somebody to that place of being willing to let go of their conditioning, to embrace a new exploration. How does that, I mean, is that just a central question that you're able to ask, or what allows people to kind of be ready for it in that moment?
It's very simple, Tyler. It doesn't take longer. It takes when the last time I climbed to Kilimanjaro with a group of people, every time I did it faster. In the last group, I had a person, the oldest person was 76 years old, and he had never climbed a mountain. And he was suffering from Lyme's disease. And so we had no experience therein. And we were going to do that mountain in less than 2 days. Say, in the end, it was 31 hours, 31 hours.
Wow.
But this is a mountain that can only be done normally, on average, between 5 and 9 days. 5 and 9 days is like 120 hours to over the 200 hours.
And you did it in
And
31.
this was 31 hours.
Wow.
And then that's because of acclimatization laws, physiological laws. So you can't do this normally, as people say, within 31 hours, especially when the person is suffering from Lyme's disease, which is a debilitating disease, and no former experience in mountaineering, and just 76 years old. And that in short, because between 5 and 9 days, normally it's done, only 40% summit. 40 of the 5 to 9 days, fully dressed, because it's very cold. So this man did it in a short, in 31 hours, with Lyme's disease, with no experience in mountaineering. And he did it 31 hours. And he was 76 years old. The first thing, when he asked me, can I join this group? I really want to. Then I saw his soul, his motivation in his eyes. And then I said, yes, you can. And that is what it takes. Motivational comes from the person itself. If that is present, we are able to do extraordinary things. And I've been proving this over and over and over and over again. I get people of 80 years here in Poland, and they, in 5 days, they climbed a mountain in their shorts in freezing temperatures for hours on end in shorts. And they feel great. So this goes past the conditioned mind and body as we know it. And this should be known to all the people in the world, that we actually are built to being able to do so much more than we think. Learn to shut down the thinking and go to your being. Be motivated to find the depth of yourself. And that is what I made accessible when I started my journey, by first finding it in myself, not in the books, in myself, mirroring with physically freezing water, then separating it into breathing exercises who had proven themselves to make me stronger in the cold water. That is not lying, that is real. And then I did that apart, and I saw the most amazing things within my body and my nervous system. And then, of course, follows a commitment. There follows a mindset. There follows a open itinerary inside, interior, that wants to seek even more. Why? Because I have the right to know what is my soul, why am I here for, and what can I do?
In those questions, it feels like, when you're talking about where does this start, I think so many people are drawn to those core questions that just feel like they're ever present, and we can mask them, but at the end of the day, they're going to find a way to show up again. And so that ability to let go of the conditioned mind seems so core to this. And then it also, you talk about the cold treatment and how cold therapy has shown up. What is the impact of cold therapy for people?
This message has gone so viral, and now it is going to billions of people. That is, what is that? That is a motion, unstoppable motion. It's being motivated from within with something that really works. And cardiovascular training through hormesis. Hormesis is self-inflicted acute stressful exercise, going into icy water, trains the cardiovascular system to be much more efficient, much more better in transportation of blood and lymph, by which all the energy runs a lot better, and the healing properties of our body are being fueled much better. The plasticity, the neuroplasticity, all. And there is so much more there. It resets our brain. And for people who are into, say, depressions and or cloudy and confused, it directly straightens one up, because the dopamine production goes up like cocaine. Cocaine is 250% more dopamine. With this, and it works 1 hour. But this, it called a good ice bath, makes the dopamine goes up, neurotransmitters, connecting neurotransmitters, creating flow in the body, by which you feel good. It ignites the good feeling as cocaine, but then 3 hours. So get high on your own supply. Besides, cardiovascular problems in the world is killer number one. We tackle it with that.
In prep for this interview, I was on the coast. We live in a landlocked part of Canada. And so I was on the coast and decided I was going to get into the Pacific Ocean up in northern Canada for the first time. Not northern, southern Canada. And the water was 7 degrees, so not ice, but cold for me. And it was the first time, and I was terrified. And so I went into this experience trying to think of what would it feel like to put my body in this state. And I did find the most extraordinary thing happened. I went from being terrified to not being terrified. But it brought the whole world so present. You're not thinking about other things. And it forces you to deal with breath, because it takes it away if you're not prepared for it. And these were just my first experiences with it. How would somebody start if they don't have a cold tub in their basement? What would they do?
Cold shower, 15 seconds.
15 seconds?
15 seconds, then 30, every day a little bit more. Because we alienated from the right cardiovascular condition. All the veins and arteries, they are flexible, but they have become quite rigid because they don't contract and dilatate as much. And like any muscle, you got to train it to make it bigger, to make it stronger. It's an antagonism. Dilatation, contraction, dilatation, contraction. That is what is trained by going into a cold shower, 15 seconds, and then 30 seconds, 45, up to 2 minutes. And then you are quite ready to go outside in wintertime to go a couple of minutes into icy water. That is for safety that I'm saying it.
Yeah.
But I've seen people doing this from the scratch. I got people who come to my sessions in the weekend, never been in icy water, And within 1 weekend, 10 minutes.
Wow.
You
Wow.
see, that is by creating the right mindset. Because in nature, actually, because we don't live in nature directly anymore, but in nature, you should be ready when you see there is danger. So that readiness we cannot exert to our bodies anymore. We are too conditioned in our comfort zone kind of behavior. And we are able to live within that zone, but not live in nature anymore. And when you go into the icy water and all, then you get back into your mammalian nature, which is quite incredible when you feel it, as you just explained. So part of that mammalian nature is the immune system, is the healing property of yourself. A bear or a deer doesn't go to a hospital. They heal themselves. They know how to, it just works because they are constantly stimulated and exposed to natural elements, not us. And therefore, their immune system is ready. So when you go into cold water, your mammalian nature gets back into full flow. And with that, the immune system. With that, you good feeling, strong, present feeling, sharpness, unconditional power of life.
I mean, it's amazing to hear you describe this. I mean, you've obviously done this with thousands of people and inspired millions of people around the world to do it. But I was terrified to go in. I did it with my mom, who's been doing it a few times. And I remember saying to her after we were both doing it, I wanted to be by somebody and she wanted to be by somebody just for some safety. But I remember saying after, it's made me feel so much more connected to nature. Just this 3 minutes in the ocean.
Wow.
Yeah, it does. It finds a way
to. Says it all, Tyler. It says it all. That's we don't have to make big stories about it. You just feel closer to nature. That's who we are. We are nature. We ruminate too much in our heads. We live accordingly in an extension of what we have in our head, in our thought, not in our senses, our mammalian brain, which is activated when you go into the cold water. And not only the mammalian brain, also the brain stem, the reptilian brain, which is about unconditional life. Unconditional, the purpose of life is to live. That is coming from that area. And that is only going to be coming to the surface if you expose yourself by which the brainstem is being activated. That is cold water. Cold water. We don't have to think about existentialism, philosophies, Plato, this, that, all that overboard. All those books go overboard when you feel the experience. And that is by going into cold water. And that it should be investigated so much more, but this will be the future where people take back and their health, happiness, and strength the way nature meant it to be.
Wow.
Very simple.
It was simple. It's really, I mean, just this last few days of experience, and I wanted to thank you for inspiring that experience for me. And I feel
Thank you for saying that and sharing.
Yeah. And my hope would be that in the way that feels safe for those 15 seconds in a cold shower to start, but that more and more people seek, because it does start a journey of exploration, and that's on the cold side. You've also done extraordinary work with breath. Can you describe the power of breath and why and how you do breath work?
For example, a couple of weeks ago, I was with the Gazan people, war victims, and they have trauma. And there is nothing that can help them. So deeply rooted, so deeply impacted. And then I showed them these breathing techniques. And these breathing techniques are able to go past what we normally feel, understand, and are able to process. This goes deeper. And suddenly, if you are able to go deeper, Then you go to the stored up trauma deeply hidden in the body. That is the functionality of trauma, is to be stored outside of your normal functioning. It's logical. Otherwise, you cannot function anymore. And you will deal with that later. Only we have no means to get there, even when it is later. And now this breathing is able to go past the mind and body connection, mind and body conditioning. It's able to go into the depth of the body, and naturally it comes loose. And then people suddenly are able not to forget, but to process, to feel okay in the moment again, without having to process some blockages or inhibitions or fears. It's all neurological, biochemical. It's real. So when it releases through doing the breathing techniques, and that is profound, because then it's not only for war victims, but mostly for anybody who is suffering from trauma or fears or inhibitions. Now we found a way that is very helpful for any human physiology in the world, because we all suffer from trauma. Sometimes it's called complex trauma. The other one is called shock trauma. The other one is called generational trauma. Whatever name it has, it is outside of our normal functionality. And are we able to get there? Through the breathing, we are. So we are able to process what needs to be processed when we have the time to do that, by which we feel light again, nice again, okay, without internal whatsoever. It's garbage. It's a garbage stinks in a while. And it comes up and it molests your life, the quality of your life. And you don't know how to get there? Breathing.
I've never heard of it that way. The first thing that comes to mind, I mean, thanks for sharing about going to Gaza and that work. I wonder, does it always release in a way that we can deal with it? Or does sometimes it get released in a way where, I can imagine traumas coming to the surface that are really hard for people to deal with. Does breathing allow you to do it positively?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this, I'm talking to the best neurologists and neuroscientists about this. This needs to be implemented to people with PTSD. I just lately did a study with a emotional release for people with PTSD, divorces, death in the family, sons died, and within one afternoon they felt absolute deep relief. It's science. We did it scientifically with 26 people, just in one afternoon, just breathe. So the body really wants to release what should not be in the body, but what is stored up. Only we had no means to get there. And then we carry this all our lives and we don't process it, by which it, in the end, deregulates our quality of life. It comes and it will play parts, and it's not nice. So what I bring through going into the cold, cultivating a breathing that makes me stronger in icy water, that must be strong. And that I separated. And then I found, wow, lights, the nervous system, amazing, what I can see and feel, amazing, so deep. And then I started to work with people. I told people, and suddenly they felt so much better. Suddenly they came and revealed anything that had bothered them since ever, but they kept it secret because nobody wants to look like weak. But if they have the power to release it, then suddenly it's able to be shared. And we don't do this in humanity anymore. So that is a part of my seeking, my finding the deeper soul of who we are and what we are. And it should be that we are able to share our vulnerabilities. And through doing this, these breathing techniques, which I'm sharing with neuroscientists and even the Catholic Church now, they come and they see this as an ascetic discipline that brings the providence of God directly back here and now. We are cleaner beings instead of being full of garbage and we don't know how to process it. And in the meanwhile, we need to produce in a system to make money and overlook in an overdrive of adrenaline neglect who we are in the depth. That should not be there. So I'm working with these neuroscientists, but it takes time. Why? Because this doesn't make money. It only brings happiness, stress, health, and strength to the people. That is all. That is what I do. So how that goes, I'm happy to be here on the podcast to talk about it. But if you guys also have contacts with universities, etc., and if people are listening right now, hey man, prove me wrong. And because I think I got something good for anybody who is listening and anybody out there who is needing it. It's not of mine. It's to be shared. I share something that is good, that works. Was not in the books, but it should be in the books. People should be able to read about it. Scientific evidence-based proof. Besides of that, I'm doing a lot of science, and that is ongoing, but much too less. I'm also doing music. Nowadays, I make music numbers.
Really?
Yes, with guitar music, traditional music, native music, all kinds of ways to express the soul. Because it's time that we are getting into nature and become one with nature, with our mammalian nature inside. Mammalian means care, coziness, being together, sharing, feeling together, empathy, trust, confidence. Those are the subcortical higher functioning of the brain. We could not voluntarily enter. Through going into the cold and doing these breathing exercises, suddenly you learn to go into the depth of your own brain. And with that, trust comes, confidence, empathy, fantasy, creativity, and all. It's all there. And I'm here just to share. And for that, I thank you to give me a platform.
Likewise. Wim, you mentioned that you've been sharing these techniques with the Catholic Church, groups that are in need. What are the techniques? What's the Wim Hof breathing method?
The Wim Hof breathing method is about creating a deficit while the body is alkaline. A deficit of oxygen while the body is alkaline. And this is a biohack that makes us able to activate 100% of our brain. And that means suddenly, because we are doing it, we are connecting consciously with the central nervous system in the depth of the autonomic nervous system. So that means all the systems suddenly we are connected by this biohack. And I found the biohack once again in the cold water. During the breathing, make my body stronger. So that is an ability, a natural ability. So see if I can do it separately. And I did. And then I took a bacteria injected where normally people become sick. I did not become sick. Why? Because suddenly I was connected to the central nervous system, to the immune system in the depth. I had learned that is the way nature meant it to be. So how the technique works is very simple. You do 30 times deep breathing on a couch, in bed, because you go really past your consciousness sometimes, past your conditioned mind and body. So do it there where it is safe. Because, you go deep. You got to go deep to reset the body and mind in the depth. It's like a car. If it has never been used, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, and now it works again. Yeah, then first you need to go to the garage. So now you need to go to a sofa or on bed, safe. If you want to go into the depth, that means you will go past what you control. So then it is very easy, very simple. If we do 30 times deep breathing, and the last, a deep inhale, and then an exhale and stop, then because of this deep breathing, we have become very alkaline. We blew off the carbon dioxide, the CO2. And the CO2 level in the blood is breathing trigger. Now the CO2 is very low. That means there is a long time that you don't feel to breathe while the body is alkaline. And alkalinity is the functionality of the body. So that is preserved. Yet in the brainstem, which is the bioparameter for oxygen, it says, hey, there's no oxygen anymore. But the body is very alkaline. Nothing wrong going on with the body. But then it shoots from the brainstem, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, adrenal glands, the adrenal axis, twice as much adrenaline than somebody who goes into its first bungee jump ever. And this has been compared by blood samples. They took blood from people doing the breathing and blood just before people jumped into an abyss attached to a rope and all, of course. But they were chosen to have vertigo, like fear. This is a group of people. This is a comparative study done. And then they saw twice as much adrenaline than a person who goes for the first time in fear into an abyss, jumping into an abyss. So when that happens, when the adrenal axis has been spiked to do that, that resets all the body. It cleanses all the body because adrenaline is like you got to shit before you run. You got to pee before you anything that should not be in the body. Hey, I shit in my pants. I got to go. You know, those natural things happen. And so this is what adrenaline does. It makes you ready to be the best version of yourself. It gets rid of all the toxins, all what should not be inside the body. It gets rid of it instantly. So that is the technique. And then, then we got, at a certain moment, we do another breathing technique, which is bringing the cerebrospinal fluid. So first 30 times, deeply in, deeply out, deeply in, deeply out. And then the last one, fully in, fully out, and then fully in, hold, and then squeeze it. Squeeze it to your head, by which you squeeze cerebrospinal fluid, once again with twice as much adrenaline, through the blood-brain barrier into the head. It cleanses all the brain with the spinal fluid. And that is amazing preventative for people getting Alzheimer, dementia, Parkinson, etc. And it should be investigated, but there's a big business going on people being dependent on pills and all. And I think the pharmaceutical world, I think they have gone too far. But they are so far in the whole system that they have power. And they will block natural methods coming in because it doesn't make money. It's almost logical. But we keep on going and pass on these techniques because they are simple, powerful, and very effective.
And like you said, they're not just a big story. They work, and the science is now showing that. And I saw this video where you teach people how to push through their limitations, and in this video, you're doing it with push-ups. And I'm curious if you would actually show me how to do that on this show. Is that something we could do together right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
Go there.
Okay.
How many push-ups can you do?
I don't know.
How many push-ups can you do?
Maybe 30-ish.
Okay, sit down.
Okay.
Yeah, 30-ish. Okay, sit down. Yes, okay. Now, here we go. You do think of one thing. And that is, I'm going to do my best. I give it my best. And I follow the breath. Just that. Okay? Ready? Here we go. Fully in. Let it go. Let me hear it. Fully in. Let it go. All in. Let it go. Fully in. Let it go. All in. Let it go. Fully in. Let it go. All in. Let it go. Just follow the breath. In. Go. In. Go. Fully in. Go. All in. All in. Yeah, keep on going. Tight. Go in. Go. All in. Go. 10 more. Fully in. Go. In. Keep on going. Okay, 5 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Fully in. Let it go. Let it go. Stop and push up. No breathing. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 52. 52.
Wow.
Tyler, that is hormesis.
It's immediate.
Acute, stressful, self-inflicted exercise. That is what this breathing does. It goes directly through your conditioned mind and body.
Wow. Thank you.
And you did it on an exhale. Imagine.
Wow.
There was no air inside.
Wow.
That's a bloody biohack that works.
Wow. And you've done these extraordinary feats. Wim, what would you say is the hardest thing you've ever done physically?
Satisfy my wife. No. I'm a joker, sometimes.
Absolutely.
I'm a
No.
dad jokes, Let's have some fun too. No, you did incredibly great. The best thing I did is to share it
Wow.
with the whole wide world, to see so many people coming out of their darkness, out of their depression, out of their chronic diseases. I see miracles happening because life is a miracle. Only sometimes we need to go deeper to find life and its miracle again.
Wow. Wim,
Yes,
I ask these questions of everyone we sit down with on the show, and I'm curious with you. I mean, you've inspired millions of morning routines and rituals. What's your routine?
absolutely. I'm making music now. I want to make music, and actually, I won an award already for my music together
Really?
with my friend Tahir Buran. And we make beautiful music with a message. So I'm also a painter. I also make paintings.
Oh, no way.
Can you see it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Wow, beautiful.
And I got so many more. I like art in life. I like to live. I got 7 kids. I'm a dad. My oldest son is 41. My youngest is 0. I'm alive. I love life. And life loves me, and I'm happy. I'm just happy, strong, and healthy. So now I'm sharing. Faith. It is faith. It started with nothing but me and me alone to find myself, and then for 30 years at least, I was a nobody, just trying to find the depth of myself and experience it, and seek more and find more. And suddenly I got through television and books and magazines, I became more and more a person. And then I got to hundreds of people, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. And now I will go to billions of people. And what is the driving force behind that? Faith. Have faith within yourself. That's my message, because it brings so much more about than what we think is possible. Because we are more than what we think. But experiencing that is the question.
Wow.
So feeling is the understanding.
And this journey that started as with you as a seeker, what's been the lesson that's taken you the longest to learn?
Good question. Longest to learn, to unlearn, actually. To unlearn what we have learned in our lives, in our society, to unlearn that and to find there is much more to be experienced, to find, to process, to manifest your soul. So that the greatest thing was to get back in myself and unlearn of what I had learned, what I accumulated in deep patterns, and find that with different patterns, a different paradigm, suddenly we are able to find solutions where even in science, meticulous science, are no solutions. And I'm a dropout of school. But because I think different, my faith goes somewhere else in my brain. I am able to do things with the body which was written in science is not possible. And that is done by being out there. And the most difficult thing, therefore, is how to decondition yourself and get into yourself and feel yourself. Something that makes direct sense within yourself.
And Wim, what do you hope your legacy is?
Love and understanding. And that we have more power within ourselves anytime we want.
And you've already been reaching millions, and you say the next quest is to reach billions. What is next for you?
Just to stay me myself now, because this is an unstoppable movement. And I go through science, coming from nature, coming in the end from my mother, a naive woman, God-fearing, and just wanted her kid to live. So it is born out of love, an invocation, going so deep. I just have to follow it. It is my mission to bring love and understanding in direct experience to people. And if I can, I will rise and I will rise beyond the normal to do it. And then I connect. I connect with you, and you can feel what I mean, because feeling is the understanding. I want people to understand that there is a way to access past our control or our way we are controlled. Whatever that is, doesn't matter. I want to give back autonomy to the people. That is where it belongs.
And Wim, I think that's such a different way to hear about legacy. You know, that question I find is a hard one for lots of us to grasp. Some people are thinking about it, some people aren't thinking about it. But, you know, it feels like when I ask you these big questions, where you keep traveling back to is being who you are, where you are, and reaching more people in a profound way.
To share this to the whole wide world and to so many people listening who are in need. I love that. I love that. It will bless your and my soul and of them.
That has come through so loud and clear in this conversation, that your intention from the start has been to be a seeker and then to share that with people. And I hope that lots of people have heard it with new perspective today.
Great.
Wim Hof, thank you for joining us.
Great to meet you, Tyler.